What a day. What a lovely day. As today will be the day I showcase my master rank Burning Abyss deck. Yes, I have got them to master 5. And oh boy, it was one of the hardest things I've done on this game. I think it's actually the biggest achievement I've done on this game so far. Because honestly, in this current format, this deck struggles big time. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't me climbing the ranks easily. No. There was times when I go diamond 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3. Bro, it was just constantly going up and down. If you want to get this deck to master, you're going to have to grind. Let's just say that. Before I get into the pros and cons and why I struggled so bad with this deck, without the obvious answer of it being an outdated deck, let me get with the deck profile and then I'll explain the pros and cons. Oh, and just in case, when I say this is a master rank deck, I don't mean it's a deck that's gonna go to master 3 or master 4. I mean, you can get to master 5 and it's up to you if you want to continue. I would probably get demoted if I continue this in master rank 5. As I said, I struggled badly in diamond, so I can only imagine it's going to be harder unless you get the lucky matchups or you get amazing hands and they get brick hands. So firstly, we've got 3 droll. I mean, this format pretty much is a lot of adding, even though the best deck in the current format is branded and they don't care about droll. So it's a bit annoying that we have to play this because of Vanadium and super heavy samurais. But then of course there are other decks that add a lot. Pearly, Mathmech, Dinosaurs. No, I think Dinosaurs do add a lot. I could be wrong on that one. But the point is, 2 of the top 3 decks search a lot and this really shuts them down. So you kind of have to run it. It is amazing, don't get me wrong. But when you face branded, you're just pissed. 3 Maxi, no need to explain. Best hand trap in the game. Now 3 Tour Guide. I've seen so many builds that play 1. And in my opinion, I don't agree with that. I see their reasoning is because if yes, Tour Guide gets impermed or ashed, you're stuck. You can't play. You're gonna have to pretty much skip the next turn. But in my mind, I'm playing 2 cool buys and a cross out. And when I get to those cards, I've got other ways of trying to bait hand traps before I use my Tour Guide. And of course, look, if I had a Graph or 2 other BAs, like a Skarm and a Libic, I'll just special summon them both and then go into something and then use my Tour Guide. So that way I at least have some sort of monster on the field. So with all these types of baits and protection, it's a 1 card starter. I mean, not that many decks, especially in the rogue tiers or tier 3s, have 1 card starters. Usually the tier 1s do. So the fact that Burning Abyss have 1, it's like, why would you not want to play a 1 card starter that can get you into, at minimum, Beatrice with IP, or in my case, Beatrice with Predaplant. So yeah, that's it. I don't understand why not. Again, I get it why they don't, but to me, that's like, you're playing with fear and you're holding back your deck to its fullest potential because you're scared of hand traps. But I mean, there's so many decks that could die to a single hand trap, but they still have to play their cards because if they don't, well, then their deck's weak. Let's speed run through the BAs. 3 Skarms, your Searcher, 3 Graph, the special summon from the deck, most important one. Well, equal with 2 Seer. Seer, special summons from the graveyard. I used to play 3, but I brought him down to 2 just because I don't really want to draw him. But you don't want to have 1 because in case he gets banished, you need a spare. So 2, I feel, is a good amount. 1 Alich for the negate, 1 Calcab. This actually goes big against decks like Labyrinth or Dynamorphia. 2 Farfar and 1 Libic. I think it's a good ratio. Honestly, this isn't TCG where you have to play bar for the burn damage. Doesn't mean anything in this game. Now, 3 Speedroid Terratop with the 1 Taktumberg, if that's how you say it, or Taktumbird. Now this is one of the baits for Tour Guide. You can special summon this, get the ad, you still got your normal summon. Now if your opponent ashes you and you have a Tour Guide, boom, your Tour Guide's free now. And then you normal Tour Guide, get your Graph, and then you can choose what you want to go into. It's a free summon. I mean, why would you not play it? It's level 3, can go into Dante, can go into Cherubini, 3 Ash, and this is a beast of a card, Sea Archiver. I was researching so many level 3s that could extend my combos from the graveyard with Cherubini's effect. Something that can send another card to the graveyard that can special summon itself. Because once you use Graph and Seer's effect, that's it. You have to use Seer's effect on Dante, and Graph is usually what brings out Seer, so it's like, I can't use them for anything else. So I wanted something else that could extend my combos, and this was it. Perfect, so good. And this can chain block people if they want to ash your tour guide, because if you bring out Cherubini, for example, with Speedroid, and then you normal summon tour guide onto one of Cherubini's arrows, you could go chain link 1, chain link 2, because this special summons itself as soon as a monster. So not just your monsters, your opponents too, but in this case for us. So as soon as you normal summon your tour guide to one of Cherubini's points, you can then special summon this. Once it leaves the field, it gets banished. But if you then go Sea Archiver with whichever BA you bring out from tour guide, you put them into Dante, it goes back into graveyard and you can use it next turn. Honestly, such a beast card. Amazing. I've never seen this card in any other BA build. So I don't know if anyone's researched this, but I went in. I was looking for so long, just looking. I was going through every level 3, just reading their effects. It was crazy. And the Destiny Hero pair for Fusion Destiny, because I am playing Destroyer. I feel it's necessary in this deck. I do have a build and a montage coming out with this deck that doesn't actually have these in them. It's going to be one of the cons with this deck, so I can explain it then. 1 Foolish, this can be whatever you want. Special summon, negate, banish, whatever. It's a must. 2 Cool Buys, 1 Crossout, and 3 Droplets, because this is amazing with this deck. Especially if you have like a Farfar or Alich in your hand. You use Droplet, send one of these, and you basically get rid of 2 cards, because now you can negate another card or banish and they can't respond, and then you can negate another one. Extra deck, Destroyer, 2 Dantes. I don't think you need 3 and definitely can't play with 1. DDD Stone King Darius, because it goes with the Visor King. Amazing to go into. In a match against Super Heavy Samurais, I single-handedly won with just this card. It sucked up their Pendulum, and then they tried to go into their Link, and they sucked that up, and then they just gave up. Obviously Beatrice, Downward for the Zeus, Cherubini, Beast, IP, Classic, Predaplant for the Hero, Unicorn for IP, Appaloosa. You could go into this from IP, or it's one of the combos you can go into. For example, if you had Fusion Destiny in your hand, and you pretty much had the full combo, you can end up with a Beatrice, DPE, and an Appaloosa with either 3 or 4 negate. Access Code Talker, more for the OTK, but I probably would like to switch this for like a Borrow Sword Dragon, if that's what it's called, a Borrow Load Sword Dragon. The one more can just OTK Bell, and this beast of a card, Underworld Goddess, because it's your own kaiju basically. So the pros and cons. The pros is it can play so many hand traps. Go in second cards. You play 9 hand traps and then 3 droplets, so 12 go in second cards. And the perfect thing is they can go first or second. You don't search. The only time you search is with Scarm. So yeah, Drolock Bird is completely amazing with this deck. Easy spamming, because you can special summon all these guys as long as you don't have any spells or traps on the field. You can link climb or go into your XYZs quite easily. And I would actually say it's fairly consistent. Honestly, if you open up with 1 Speedroid or 1 Tour Guide, or obviously Graph and another BA, or just 2 BAs, you can at least go into something. It might not be like the most optimal field, you can at least go into something. So if you had a Calcab and a Farfar, you can always go into the Visor King, and then as the Visor King, you can, when you detach, you can save Farfar for the right moment. So when you do detach Farfar, that's a banish on your opponent's side of the field. So it's like that could potentially be 3 interruptions. But I'll be honest, there's not that many pros for this deck. I mean, that's about it, because it is an old deck. You know, you can't. It's not gonna have the pros of Super Heavy Samurais or Vanadium or Branded, where they just plus forever and they go into the craziest combos. It's not, you know, the deck came out in 2014, it's old. But the cons are the big thing, and this is why it struggles big. 1, the reason why I'm playing Destroyer is because it doesn't really have a boss monster. You know, your Beatrice, it can be whatever you want it to be, Searcher, Banish, Negate, but you know, it's 25 and 28. You usually can only do it once because you only have Dante as the material. There is the Visor King. Once it goes, only other big beater is either Zeus or Goddess, but Goddess you need at least 3 on field, and Zeus, you know, I mean, everyone can go into him. Amazing, but it just feels like once these cards go, it's a struggle. Like honestly, the OTK with this deck is hard. It's the annoying thing, BA can't be with any other monster on field unless they're a BA name. So you kind of have to rely on the tour guide. It's just, yeah, the OTK potential and no real boss monster, it makes this deck struggle. That's why I got Destroyer, because at least it always comes back. So every time you destroy, it's like, all right, come back next time by phase. So it's an ongoing boss monster. And another big con, massive con, this deck dies to Bestials. They can take your Destroyer, they can take your Search, They can take your Dante when you try to target with Seer, and Bestials are played a lot right now, especially because in Branded. And Branded is probably the most popular deck right now, and it's the most powerful, so it's like, ugh. The strongest deck is your worst matchup. It's so bad. I would say those are the two biggest cons. And like I said, I wasn't gonna go and talk about how outdated they are. If I was, I would just say it's because, you know, you can only use one of their effects, while these days monsters can use their field and graveyard effects. Or like Tillerman, the hand and the grave, you know, while BA is just one effect. But look, they still do bits, you know, they still can be amazing. I honestly think I would do better with this deck if Branded weren't number one. Let's say Branded was out the picture and it was Vanadium and Super Heavy Summarize. I honestly think I would get to Masters much quicker because there would be less Bestials. As I said, if you want to get to Masters, you can. Most likely just Masters 5, but it's going to be a grind. An insane grind. I will say, every time you get a victory against one of the top decks, it's the greatest feeling that a 2014 deck is beating these current meta decks. It's just the best feeling. Now with the deck profile finished and my reasonings of why it's good and bad, I'm gonna show you 3 combos. 1 with Speedroid and a single BA. 2, a Speedroid with Tour Guide. 3, the biggest and best combo you can get with this deck, Speedroid, Tour Guide and a BA. But the BA can't be Graph or Seer because we need those special summons. After all of this, the game that got me from Diamond 1 to Master 5. So here is the first combo, Speedroid with a BA. And before you ask, no, I won't be doing one with just Tour Guide because there's a million of those combos and you get to choose. Do you want to end with IP or do you want to end with Predaplant? So for the first combo, you must special summon. This is pretty much the only ad you do. I love it when they then draw me right now and I'm just like, cool, like I don't care. Next we go into Cherubini. Then we will send Graph, which will special summon Seer. Now we can just normal summon whichever the extra BA is. Go into the Dante, and now they can go into Predaplant. See, the annoying thing about IP is you can't use Cherubini and Dante. That would have been amazing, but yeah, you can't. That's actually what made me think of this instead, because I would always have Cherubini there, and I'm like, I need to use him. So I would usually go into Appaloosa, but I wouldn't always have enough monsters on field. But with this, you now do. All you need is, as I've shown, 1 Speedroid and a BA. The classic chain 1, chain 2. Go into Vitras and now bring out the big boy DPE. Another good thing is this Destiny hero is level 3 and he can special summon himself easily. As long as you have a Destiny hero in your graveyard or on the field, boom, he can just come out. It's once per duel, but doesn't matter. So when it did go to turn 3, let's say you did manage to have a Tour Guide in hand or another Speedroid, and for some reason it gets negated, at least you use this effect and boom, you can still go into a rank 3 and then or a link 2. So you do have follow-ups. Combo number 2. Now this personally would be a terrible hand because we can't use Graph's special summon effect since we're going to use it with Tour Guide and both Destiny heroes in hand. I mean, it can happen. It's very rare though. The usual. Speedroid will always go into Cherubini. Unless you don't have another BA, then you would probably just go into Predaplant and just bring up Destroyer. So now Cherubini's here. Instead of sending Graph, we're gonna send the MVP, Sea Archiver. Now you get to see this beauty in action. I really don't understand why I've never seen Sea Archiver in any BA deck list, because it's such a solid card for this deck. So now look, you can normal summon your Tour Guide, you can chain link 1 your Tour Guide, and then chain link 2 Sea Archiver, blocking any ashes if they were saving it from stopping your Tour Guide. Now you special summon Graph, you go into Dante with Graph and Sea Archiver, because now that means he won't get banished when he does go to the graveyard. Now mill 1, this is always a risk, because if you did mill any of the Destiny heroes or Fusion, that pretty much ruins this combo. You can still go into things like an Appaloosa instead, but you really don't want it to get milled. It would suck if it got milled right now. So 1, you don't do 3. Cool, we're all good. special summon. And yeah, you might as well use this effect because you can chain block again. Bring out Seer. You go Dante and Tour Guide into IP. Dante adds, doesn't matter. You go Seer and Cherubini into Predaplant. Seer now brings back Dante. You got Beatrice coming out by discarding the one you added earlier. Let's bring out the boss monster. And there you go. From Speedroid and Tour Guide in the hand, you get Beatrice, IP, and a Destroyer. If we did have a better hand in this, we would have like 2 hand traps or a droplet or something. This is a minimum 3 interruptions. Banish, negate, or searcher, destroy. And then this can either go into Unicorn, or you can go into Appaloosa. Let's say you did use Beatrice's effect. You could go boom, boom, boom. Or one of my favorites is, again, let's say you did use Beatrice, you've used Destroyer, and your opponent is still bringing out some strong monster. You can use IP into Goddess. I love this card so much, and I'm so glad I got the royal finish on it. Now, this is the third and final combo, and the best combo you can get with this deck. And what makes this even better is I have Maxi and Ash. So let's say they don't have any interruptions. I'm gonna have a strong board with Maxi and Ash. Oof, this would have been disgusting. Now, at this point, we're gonna use Libic or whichever BA. Again, it can't be Seer or Graph. And now we're gonna use Tour Guide and Libic to go into our king. There's 2 interruptions right there. So now you go into Dante, you do the usual, mill 1. This is where you get to choose what you prefer. You can either go into a 3 negate Appaloosa by using your Dante, Seer, Cherubini, and then of course doing the usual. Seer brings back Dante, Dante adds Seer, bring out Beatrice. So on field you potentially have up to 6 interruptions, which is crazy. Option 2 is if you want Beatrice and Destroyer, you do Dante, Seer into Predaplant, again Dante, Seer combo, and boom, Beatrice, Destroyer, King. And the third option is IP instead of Beatrice. So you would do Dante, Seer into IP, Seer brings back Dante, Dante into Cherubini, which will bring out Predaplant, and there you go. That means from Dante you get added 2, which is pretty cool. So you have 2 more in hand, probably Seer and Graph. And technically there is a 4th. You go to IP and then bring up Beatrice instead. IP is solid in this position because yeah, there's a lot of monsters on the field, and if you do get impermed, they're most likely gonna negate the king. So you can always use your IP with him and Cherubini, and that just brings you Appaloosa or a Goddess. But me personally, I wouldn't do the IP and Predaplant just because that would mean you're going through all your link 2s, and sometimes you can only get 2 monsters on the field, but then there's no link you can go into, so you're gonna have to go into one of your Dante. So I do try to at least have 1 link 2 in the extra deck, so Sea Archiver could possibly be useful again. So in this scenario, I would actually go into IP and bring out Beatrice. I don't know why I put it here, I should have put it there, so in case I wanted to summon out another BA. I prefer this one because, as I mentioned, if they do imperm me, I doubt they're going to do IP. I mean, they could, but then they're leaving up these guys. So most likely they'll do King or Beatrice. If they do try to summon and then attack into Masquerina, you can Beatrice them. If they try to do an effect on the field, you can use King. Once these effects are gone, you can then use IP with either these 3 or these 3, or technically all 4 with Appaloosa. I'd rather then just go into Goddess, because Goddess is such a strong card, and you can negate in the graveyard. Some people forget about that effect. But I like having a Beatrice over Destroyer, because Destroyer is more powerful, but at least with Beatrice, we have a Dante, so that's a guaranteed add, and then Beatrice could be a search, it can be a banish, or it can be a negate. It can be what you want. you enjoyed the deck profile, the replays, and the combo. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And if you want to see more of the world's strongest duelist, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to be up to date with all my content and to be updated when I live stream. With that all being said, enjoy the rest of your day and cause mayhem with this Burning Abyss deck. Slauzer is out.